This meeting will now come to order. Good evening. The City Council will convene on Thursday, April 8th, 2021, to hold a regular meeting at 7:30 for the purpose of discussing any and all business via in-person participation for the City Council only and remote participation for all others in accordance with Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws and Governor Baker's emergency order dated March 12, 2020. In accordance with the Governor's order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the City Council will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of the members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Alternative public access to this meeting shall be provided in the following manner. Number one, this meeting is being televised by PBS Access Television on Comcast Channel number 9 and RCN channels 15, 614, and 1161. Real-time public comment during public hearings can be addressed to the Peabody City Council using the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. Users may view the meeting and make a comment or question to the chair via the audio option. This meeting is being taped by PBS Access Television and is also being recorded by our City Council stenographer. Let us all rise for a moment of silence. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Mr. President, move approval of the record, which is late item 11.
On the motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. We'll now move to hearings. Hearing 4A, which we are reconvening from Thursday, March 25th, and it's an application from Paraskev Norwegian at 60 Washington Street to amend Condition 2 of a special permit regarding hours of operation. I can see the applicant is on Zoom. Good evening and welcome back. Would you provide, please, a brief explanation of your plans in this request?
Hi, good evening. I'm looking to occupy the store on 60 Washington Street. I'm requesting the permit to be transferred and to change the hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak either in favor or in opposition of this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak on this matter. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak either in favor or in opposition of this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak on this matter. Seeing no one, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. This, as you have indicated, this is a recessed public hearing, and in that there were no additional comments, I would just ask if there's any additional comments from the council, Mr. President, through you.
Would any councilors like to comment? Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to close the public hearing.
You heard the motion by Councilor McGinn. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please. Apologize, rookie mistake. You've heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve the transfer of special permit number 13-2005 to Pasarikiv Norwegian, 5 Station Road, Salem, Mass., and move to approve the application from Pasarikiv Norwegian, 5 Station Road, Salem, Mass. to amend special permit 13-2005, specifically condition number 2, hours of operation to operate Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 6 Washington Street, Peabody, Mass. is filed in accordance with Section 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. So moved.
You've heard the motion by Councilor McGinn. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you for your patience and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We'll now move to hearing 4B, which was recessed from Thursday, March 25th, and is an application from 535 Lowell Street regarding construction of a drive-through window for a restaurant to be operated by Crack Kitchen located at 535 Lowell Street. Good evening. I think I see Mr. Yeba and Mr. Dundon. Welcome back. Would you please give a brief explanation of your plans and this request?
Yes, good evening. For the record, my name is Brian Dungeon. I am with Site Civil Engineer with the engineering firm of R.J. O'Connell and Associates. Regarding the project applicant, 535 Lowell Street, Peabody, LLC, is seeking a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.5 of the Peabody zoning ordinance to construct or allow the construction or tenant fit out, if you may, of a fast food restaurant with a drive-through component to be operated by Crack Kitchen on property located at 535 Lowell Street, more commonly known as the Peabody Commons Shopping Center.
Thank you, Mr. Dundon. Are there any members of the general public who would like to speak either in favor or in opposition of this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak in this matter. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak either in favor or in opposition of this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak on this matter. Seeing no one, Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you, Council President. I think we vetted this pretty well that last meeting, so I'm going to open the floor to my other councilors to see if they have any questions, and I will have some closing comments, but I do plan on supporting this project. Thank you.
Councilor Sasslaw, any councilors would like to speak? Councilor Rozignol.
Make a motion to receive late communication number 4.
On the motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last hearing, we got late communication, which in this current packet is VW1 and VW3. So I happened to drive by the area, and I was at the Dunkin' Donuts across the street, and the pictures that are in late communication 4, I took, and some of the concerns that I raised last meeting are addressed as one of the councilors put last meeting, you know, a picture says 1,000 words. One of my concerns last meeting was with the CVS and their drop off and pickup. And Mr. Yeba last meeting did state that they changed how they're going to drop off their product to CVS, and that has changed. It is now parallel to the building at CVS. Unfortunately, it's still a safety issue in my concern, in my opinion. Not only is it in the fire lane, which is where the 18-wheeler is currently, but if you look at picture number 5, there's no way for a car to get around if cars were to be parked in that front parking area. The other concern I had, or question I do have to the petitioner, is if you look at, bear with me a moment, picture 8 versus the petitioner's picture VW3. One is a planting area, so there is no sidewalk where the petitioner shows a sidewalk. My question is, will the plantings be removed and will there now be a sidewalk along that side of the building?
I can respond, yes. Regarding the rendering VW3, the proposal is to maintain the existing landscape strip along that side of the building. I think the rendering incorrectly shows it as a sidewalk, but in case the existing condition is landscaping, it is intended to remain landscaping.
Thank you. And if you look at rendering VW1, where it shows a clean surface along the building, if you look at picture 1 as well as 2 and 3, that's what that side of the building actually looks like. So will, under the renderings, will those water lines and gas lines be removed? Will there be further barriers protecting those? Or will it be as shown in the late communication versus what you presented in VW1?
The utilities, the late communication that was submitted by yourself shows the current as-built location of the water meters that are, the gas meters that are protected by metal bollards. Those are intended to remain in place. If you go back to the site plan SP1 that was submitted as part of the special permit application, we intend to put some traffic control striping along that access drive to accentuate the drive lane per se to head towards the drive-through window. That is not shown on the traffic control striping is not shown on the VW1, 2, or 3 series drawings to its fullest that's shown on the SP1 site plan.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other councils? Councilor Shrest? Councilor Sasslaw?
Thank you, President O'Neill. Yeah, I'm looking at. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the late communications of Tom Rosenall sent in, and I'm trying to follow what you just said. The ballers, they're not. The picture I'm looking at, the front picture, there is no baller there to protect those gas lines. Are you saying you're putting in ballers there?
To clarify, along the rear face of the building, which is adjacent to Bourbon Street, there are existing metal bollards there in place today. In between those series of metal bollards are where the existing gas meters are located. This application is not proposing to change that condition.
So the baller on the front page I'm looking at, which you saying the ballers are there existing now? If you're driving through the drive-through or along that line, the gas lines are before the baller. So the baller isn't protecting those gas lines because it's afterwards. So my question is, are you putting more ballers in front so a car cannot run into the gas line in the drive-through?
Yes, yes.
All right, so I just want to be clear. You're indicating you will be putting ballers in, additional ballers in where those gas lines are being unprotected?
Yes.
Okay. My other question is, I love the idea. I like the idea, obviously, and want to continue to make this project flourish. But I do share the Ledgewood and Bourbon Street condos with Councilor Sasslaw. And I do know when this whole project was being built, a lot of the concerns with the neighbors was, it's gonna be busier, it's gonna be busier. And we said, yes, it will be busier, but the building is gonna look a hell of a lot nicer than you have currently. And I stand behind that, and you did that. But there is some, I don't remember, and I could be forgotten about it, that when you had said there was a drive-through window proposed for this development in the beginning, but it wasn't for a fast food, you stated it would have been for a CVS. Am I correct?
When we originally permitted the project, CVS's business model is where they currently have stores. They typically install or have been installing pharmacy pickup windows at their locations. As we developed or we began redeveloping this project, the initial assumption was that CVS would consider having a drive-through window at this location. To the best of my knowledge, and again, I think Al could speak to this a little bit in more detail than I could, CVS as of this date has no interest in adding a drive-through window to their operation. And as a result of that, Al has been able to potentially secure a restaurant-type tenant that, as part of its business, needs the window. So the window just got shifted really from a CVS a commodity to a new tenant.
Right.
That is correct.
Okay.
If I may, as it
Yes,
relates to
yes.
CVS, we've had a number of discussions with them about a potential drive-through, and they have concluded that that will not work in this building without a major renovation or perhaps a new building, because the way that the store lays out internally, it's too far away from the exterior walls. So it would require a major renovation, and that for that reason, they have indicated that there's no interest in a drive-through of any kind.
Okay, so, and that, good, then my memory serves me correctly, there was not a proposal for a drive-through for a food industry, just the CVS, and that would have been closer to the front part of the...
That's right.
Right? Now,
Yes.
Again, Mr. Yeba, will you be operating this facility, this restaurant?
No, it will be leased to an operator, and we'll be managing the property, and we'll be addressing some of the operational issues that have been brought up, particularly with regard to how the deliveries are made and so forth. You know, that's usually taken care of with rules and regulations to the center, which would be issued once we know who our tenants are. But that would certainly be our role. The operator here would be an experienced restaurateur. This would be their second. They have one other that's about to be open. That would be their third. And it really is a great operation. So we're pleased that in this environment that we're in, to be able to have secured a commitment from such a quality operator.
Okay, so my thought and understanding is usually the operator of the facility would be the one to be asking for the special permit signed off by the owner of the building. Maybe I'm incorrect that way, that the owner of the building can take a special permit. But I must be correct that this is in the name of Kraken Kitchen, so if there was something else that went in, you would have to come back that wasn't Kraken Kitchen, come back to the council. I'm going to ask...
I think that's right, yes.
Right. I'm going to defer that to the clerk's office, am I correct? All right, and you're aware of that, Mr. Yeba, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I just wanted to, like I said, a couple other things that does stick out. I'm very, very concerned on how it's bottlenecking at the end. And I've driven it a few times, and I am very, very concerned with that. And I know you said, if I'm looking at the drawings that you submitted 2 weeks ago, and you have the island pushing out, and you have a dark shaded area that shows the site view of the driver, it doesn't seem to be adequate to me. But again, I wasn't I'm not a specialist in this, so I did reach out to Captain Richards, which he was a little surprised he wasn't here for that meeting too, to answer any of our questions, and I wish he was for some, to do this. But he did indicate that the things that you were doing, the lights and special additions to the stop signs and things like that, would work if you did it completely. Now, I'm not sure. I know Brian had indicated last time a bunch of things, so I would imagine that was all there. But on that, if I'm looking at this, anyone who came in from Ledgewood and Bourbon Street, and they were going to go back to their homes, if they went through the drive-through, they would be forced to go down Bourbon Street and somehow make a turn into one of the other facility, across the street parking lots to get down to their apartments or condos, correct? Or am I missing something? Because they can't take a left-hand turn.
Yeah, if you're in the drive-through lane or in the bypass lane, you are restricted from the left turn movement to go back around in front of the shopping center. You would be directed to the Bourbon Street curb cut to either take a right or left onto Bourbon Street.
But, okay, so I'm sorry. So when I'm looking no left-hand turn, I'm not really paying attention to the line that's bringing it all the way to the right-hand side of the stop sign of for the takeout. So when you get to Bourbon Street, you can still take a left then?
That is correct.
All right, I was confused on that. Thank you. Because that just didn't make much sense. And as Councilor Rosendahl pointed out about the sidewalk, and where along the side of the building, did you say you are not putting in a sidewalk, that those bushes are going to stay, the landscaping is going to stay?
That is correct. The sidewalk exists on the other side of the driveway. That is remaining.
Okay, so on the other side of the driveway, coming in, because I know you're going to have a lot of people walking from Bourbon Street and things of that nature, it really kind of stops in the beginning. There's no sidewalk there now. You're going to be putting one in?
Yeah, well, there should be, I believe if it's not there now, it will be, because I know there's an undeveloped pad next to in the game. There should be a sidewalk that connects to the sidewalk system for in the game. So it's a continuous pattern from Bourbon Street to the in the game, and it also allows them to cross over where the front entry is to Crack Kitchen, as well as for Jean's Barber and the hair salon that is currently operating.
In the, yeah, because it's just a dirt, empty lot right there,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
So can you tell me any indication when you're going to be putting that sidewalk in, or would you just going to be waiting until that building gets built?
No. The way the permitting for this project will work is if City Council votes to approve the special permit application, I am required to submit a site plan package to the planning board requesting their approval to modify the approved site plan. We are prepared to submit those documents by the end of the month, assuming the council approves the application tonight for the purposes of getting on their May agenda. Upon the approval of the planning board, we would be issuing documents for bid. And conceivably, the rough timelines, we're looking at the middle of July where the construction work would commence, and we should be finished before Crack opens for business, sometime in September.
Okay. And there is no need of a fire lane in the back of the building?
No, especially now, no. There's plenty of access back there. Technically, that rear access drive serves as in its entirety as a fire lane, because there's really no reason for the public to be parking back there, as there's no access points to the shopping center.
All right, so on the side, so you're saying the cars that's parked on the Lowell Street side of CVS, there's parking spaces there, they're not gonna be traveling down that back road, you think? They're gonna,
They would be traveling, if they were utilized, they would be traveling to exit the site at the Bourbon Street curb cut. They wouldn't essentially be parking along that rear access drive, therefore creating conflicts with restricting accessibility.
sure, so, but you do imagine traffic going to, in the back of the building along the drive-through, exiting?
The only traffic I would anticipate really would be, it's just the drive-through traffic, utilize the drive-through window. If there were, we kind of set up that the angled parking along Lowell Street was really designated for the employees of CVS. So, you know, their shift changes are, you know, pretty much
Okay.
4-hour increments. Crack Kitchen usually closes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we don't see much traffic, maybe 1 or 2 cars from CVS employees utilizing that rear access drive to exit the site.
Sure. And the only other thing I notice, and I'm sure you're aware of it, that if you were going in the game, coming in from Bourbon Street, right? Coming in from Bourbon Street, you go past the Kraken Kitchen drive-through, and you come to almost your first, right by the corner in the game, there's a 2-lane way that is like extremely narrow. You know which one I'm talking about? It's right after the future development pad.
Yes.
Right? You must be aware because you have to see the tire marks on the curb. Is that by code?
Yeah, I mean, the main drive aisle in the game to the island end caps is about 25 feet wide. And that is the minimum driveway width standards that we have. So yes, it is per the design criteria that's been outlined in the site plan review requirements.
I don't think we're really talking about the same spot, but I was just curious on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was when you talk about deliveries coming in before the operation opens up, that can't happen. You can't have someone there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Yeba, you know that, right? Making deliveries?
We have, I understand that there are not necessarily restrictions that are imposed, but we have talked to our tenant and they have indicated that, you know, between, from 5 on is workable for them.
I believe you can't be there before 6. Counsel, I'm going to ask the clerk. Am I correct on that?
No.
There aren't restrictions on delivery hours.
There is not.
There is not.
Mr. Yeba, you can have them deliver, I guess, any times, because I guess I thought there was a delivery hours. So I'm sorry for any confusion on that. I will say the delivery drivers will be there, and hopefully they don't have a larger truck, because they're not going to be able to take that hard right. Hopefully it's no bigger than a van or a small box truck. But
Yes.
all my questions were answered. Thank you.
Councilor Sasslaw? Councilor Gould?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the clerk. Allison, I don't see a form filled out by the police as to their recommendation on this. Every special permit we have, we usually see one. Maybe I'm missing it, but I thumbed through it 3 or 4 times. And while Clerk Danforth looks for, okay.
I send them the application.
I'm sorry?
I sent them the application.
And they never returned it.
Correct.
You know, this is very convoluted. Mr. Dundon does a great job for his client, but we're trying to answer questions as though we're safety engineers. And I think it's way above my pay grade, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to my fellow councilors, but we're not safety engineers, and I don't think we're in any position to handle all of these issues that have come up, and I believe we need to get a police opinion on it. Councilor Sasslaw may have already had that, but it's got to be something in writing. But I don't think we're ready to answer these questions. It's too many issues, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Any other councilors want to speak at this time? Councilor Charest?
Yes, I agree with Councilor Gould, but I would also, don't we normally have something from the fire department too? And I have not had a chance to reach out to them.
Thank you, Councilor Charest. Any other councilors? Councilor Sasslaw?
Thank you. So I personally, I totally hear what you're saying, Councilor Gould. I just, I do have to ask the clerk. I personally did meet with petitioner and Captain Richards, and we went over everything in person, and he was, quite frankly, it would never have gotten to this point tonight if he indicated he had any issue at all, and he didn't. But that being said, I do want to, and then Councilor Cherish just brought up nothing from the fire. I guess what happened here? What's going on? Did we send it out and they're not getting it back? And I know years ago we used to have that problem, and I don't know. I'm looking at another. I'm looking at the next public hearing, and I see a fire response. I see a police response. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, Allison, but do we know what happened here?
I send them all the application with the response form, and this is what I got back.
Okay. So once again, here we are, rabbit holes, and I get it. It's just, it's got to be frustrating for the petition. It's frustrating for me. I'm sure it's frustrating for the councilors. As I said, I will say publicly, I met with Captain Richards. He was fine. I cannot speak to the fire department, but I certainly can use common sense and say, as I said the last time, this is no worse, if probably better, than what's at Walls of Decor. So I just hate to, delay this, but I'm gonna just go on a couple of points, and then once again open it back up. Regarding, so I heard about on view 3, so the sidewalk's not going to be there. In view 3, you do have that little beacon or sign. I'm just curious, is that gonna blink or say something? You can't tell because it's a black and white mimeograph, but I was just curious what that is going to do. That I think it's called a beacon on the plans.
Yes, so what the intent is, we have the beacon on the side of the building that'll flash red, a strobe red, say caution vehicles exiting. And the way that beacon will get tripped to flash is there'll be a loop detector system that as you exit the drive-through window, once the front tires of the vehicle trips the loop detector, this light will flash, which will provide additional safety and acknowledgement for the vehicles traveling from the shopping center down to Bourbon Street to exit the site, to acknowledge that there's a vehicle exiting. Similar to if you're in downtown Boston and you're in one of those below-grade parking structures, and as you're coming up to street level, they have the flashing beacons and usually have a noise, but we're not going to use the noise at this location to notify pedestrians that vehicles are coming out of a parking facility.
Thank you. And referring to late communication, I just want to be clear, because I will make it part of the condition of special permit. Page number 1, that shows the photograph. So I believe that's the only place that there's no column that those gas meters and gas lines are exposed. So you will be putting in basically right where it says fire department, there's a sign there, I don't know, it says con or something. I just want to be clear, that's where you're going to be putting the additional pole for protection?
Yes, we will put a bollard in to protect that.
Thank you. Also, in addition, I did want to ask Mr. Yeba. Mr. Yeba, are you amenable to, this? I don't think this would be a big deal, but within 60 days after receiving your special permit, will you commit to having the dumpster? And by the way, I'd be much happier if it's sooner than 60, but would you be amenable to agreeing to have the dumpster moved and enclosed within 60 days?
Yes.
Thank you. So the one thing I do want to discuss, I just want to bring up, and as you can see, the special permit, it went out to probably 70 people. No one's in favor, no one's against. I think that speaks volumes. Certainly this is something that the people at Ledgewood and Bourbon Street are not aware of. They're aware of, they drive every day. So I do think it speaks positively. I think if there was any concerns, we would be hearing them. We've had 2 hearings. What I'd like to make a recommendation is that on the special permit, I will put in the condition of the dumpster, I will put in the condition of the additional column, and I'd also like to put in the condition that we do have to get a positive, a no objection letter from both the police and from the fire department, kind of like when we do all papers being in order, so that we don't have to delay the vote tonight. And if they don't get that letter from the police or from the fire, and I will ask the city clerk to follow up with them and ask them to put that in writing, that then the petitioner has to come back. But I really don't want to delay this in another 2 weeks. I respect and I agree, and that's why I'm saying that I would like it in writing from the police and from the fire. So I would hope that will be amenable to any councilors, and I'm good for now. Thank you.
Any other councilors? Councilman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Mr. Yeba. I had mentioned at the last meeting, so I kind of want to piggyback on it because I'm not sure if you were on the Zoom when I had raised the issue about landscaping. Can you hear me, Mr.
Yes.
Yeba? Okay, great.
I can, yes.
Great. So the shrubs that are near, if you're facing in the game, that lot to the right where the shrubs are, it's kind of an empty lot. I know you're hoping to develop that. Do you plan to spruce up that area? It's kind of becoming an eyesore, and it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We are anticipating, well, first of all, we have a lot of landscaping that was put in under the original construction contract. And so we need to see which of those plantings did not make it, so they would be covered under the warranty. But separately, we're bringing, we're in conjunction with doing the work for the drive-through, the curbing, the plantings and so forth. As a part of our cleanup for the spring, the intent is to, clear out that lot, make it look better, and we're going to seed it so that it looks finished until we're ready to proceed with the final piece of the development.
That sounds great. Thank you. And lastly, along the same lines, when you had come forward for your special permit some time ago, you had remarked that you understand that area is kind of a gateway to the city from coming off of the highway.
Yes.
And in that respect, we had discussions about your signage. Could you tell me how you plan? I know you're having some problems with the sign. There's been a banner there that,
sure.
And banners are temporary, but that one's been there for quite a while, more permanent. And I'm just wondering what your plan is to fix those signs or give those signs some attention. Because again,
sure.
You even acknowledge that it is a gateway and it should be a proud entrance. So I'm wondering what your plan is at this point.
Yeah, so as you know, there's 2 parts of that pylon. The top piece was recently blown out when we had the windstorm. We have contracted to have a temporary sign put up there while the new structure is completed. That's going to take 3 to 4 weeks, we are told, at which time we're going to have some additional steel that's going to be put up into the sign, and that's going to make the likelihood of that sign being blown out in the future much less likely. It will be of the same size, and it will be split 1/3, 2/3. So in the game, we'll have the bottom 2/3 of the top pylon, and the new tenant in that that lot area will have the final piece of that. As it relates to the rest of the sign, once we know who our tenants are, we can then complete the renovation of that sign. And we've really been holding off until we know how many sign panels and what that configuration would look like. But I am seeing that that is expected to be pretty well known in the coming couple of months. That electronic sign has been a real problem from day one. We bought a new sign 3 years ago. It's really never worked correctly. We're very unhappy with the quality of that. We have bid out a new sign to just replace it. We are waiting for a second bid, and our intention here is to get that online in the spring. What we have found is that with the pandemic, so many of the smaller sign companies have gone out of business. So getting in the queue to get signage put up maybe takes a little bit longer than might ordinarily be the case. But we want to have that electronic sign is a critical piece of what many of our prospective tenants are looking for from us. And that is, that'll get taken care of in the coming several weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Yeba. Thank you. I appreciate your responses and your attention to these details. I know the councilors have given this area a lot of attention tonight with concerns. So I appreciate your responsiveness. I plan to support this drive-through, given the recommendation that the ward council has put forward, that we get clarification in writing from both the police and fire, that our understanding and your understanding, the way you've put forward the renderings, are to their satisfaction. So I have no problem moving forward under that motion by the councilor. Thank you.
Any other councilors want to speak at this time? Seeing no one, Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you. And Mr. Yeba, I just had one point of clarification
Yes.
from Council Manning. So I know we have discussed putting up some type of a fence with maybe a green barrier, like when you go to other shopping malls or the Winfield Marketplace, and they'll say, shops coming in 2021, and it's a fence and it's a green barrier. And I thought we had that understanding, but now I heard tonight you told Council Manning that you're going to seed it and grow grass there, and so that's totally a different vision from what we talked about.
Yes, it is. We would like this to look as clean and as finished as possible. And yes, we could certainly put a fence up, but our feeling is that we're going to be under construction with this new building within the next 12 months. But if we seed that property and potentially allow in the game to use it for something, or get a temporary tenant in there during the summer months for something, that it would be much more appealing than to have a fence in there. But we're certainly open to the idea of putting a fence if you think that is preferable.
My only concern driving by there on a regular basis is it's pretty rocky.
No, the rocks have to come out. Exactly. All of that has to be leveled, and it will look like a finished lawn when we're done.
As I've expressed to you in the past, I just think it's only fair that the residents who live behind there, whether you hydro seed, whether you put the fence up, I don't want to see us looking at this stuff in July and August. There needs something to be done. So I'm going to allow you to decide what you feel is best. I've voiced my opinion. If the seeding doesn't take place, I think the fence with the green top and whatever you want to say, future home of or whatever, I'm going to leave that to you. We've always had a good relationship. The only other comment I do want to make, Mr. Yeba, is I have noticed there's trash, and you're underneath 95. You got a bridge there, and I'm going to encourage you. I don't know if you have a janitor or maintenance staff, but I'm going to suggest that you might want to start to go through that parking lot on Monday mornings. It's going to build up. You're off 95. It blows off of 95, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring that up. So I'd appreciate it if you just pay attention to that.
Thank you. Well, we're going to add a couple of days of sweeping. Now that in the game is open, their traffic is coming back. We have other tenants So there really is more trash to be taken care of, and we'll add a couple of days.
Thank you, Mr. Yeba. If there's no one, any further questions, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
You heard the motion by Councilor Sasslaw. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. So Sasslaw.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the application from 535 Lowell Street, Peabody LLC, 109 State Street, Boston, Mass., for a special permit seeking to construct a drive-through window for a restaurant to be operated by Cracked D Kitchen at 535 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., as filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 with the following conditions. Number one, the dumpster enclosure will be completed within 60 days from the approval of the special permit. Number two, an additional column will be constructed in front of the gas meter referencing Lake Communication 4, slide number 1. And the third condition is that the special permit will be approved contingent upon a written no objection from the Peabody Police and Peabody Fire Department. So move.
You've heard the motion from Councilor Sasslaw. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Excuse me, on the motion, Councilor Charest. Apologize.
Sorry, I should have yelled out too. To you, to Councilor Sasslaw. And if with the police or fire, if they came, are you expected if they came back with a recommendation or a requirement, they would need to fulfill that for it to be a non-objectional?
To you, Council President. My expectation would be that if there is an objection from the police or the fire department and they put that in writing, that we would have to engage in conversation with Mr. Yeba to get his agreement that any recommendations they made that he would put in place.
We agree.
You've heard the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charist.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Matsoulis.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
No.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
No.
Motion carries 9-2.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now move to hearing 4C. Councilor Matsoulis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, I move to receive late communication 7 and 8 and approve the request to withdraw this hearing. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Matsoulis. You've heard the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. It's a vote. Sorry. On the motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Now move to hearing 4D. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive items 8E, 8G, late 3, late 5, late 9, and late 12, and refer to this matter. So moved.
You've heard on the motion, all the... Councilor Manning Martin. On the motion, Councilman McGinn, could you just repeat those just to make sure everyone's got it? Thank you.
The motion was under suspension of the rules to receive item 8E, 8G, late communications 3, 5, 9, and 12, and refer to this matter.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor McGinn. On the motion, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to refer late communication 9 to the city solicitor to provide an opinion on the applicability of zoning section 5.4.6 to this application. So moved.
On the motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Late communication 12 is a request from the applicant's attorney to continue this matter. So move to continue this matter to the City Council meeting of April 22nd, 2021. So moved. And on the motion, Mr. President, you're going to see in late communication 12 that there's an acknowledgement by the applicant's attorney that they need to seek licensing board approval. So I'd remind the council that this is a Rule 17 issue where we need to have all the other permitting complete prior to addressing this. So although my motion makes specific reference to the 22nd of April, I think the council should have a reasonable expectation that there may be an additional continuance while they're resolving their other permitting issues. And also, my prior motion about the reference to the city solicitor for an opinion, that section of zoning potentially requires a permit for outdoor dining, so that would be one additional step. So again, that's just background on why, although I'm continuing it to a date certain, that there may be, you might expect this to be continued again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. On the motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Now move to hearing 4E, which is a special permit from Bosun's Assets and Operations. I'll ask the clerk to please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, April 8th, 2021, at 7:30 p.m. and conduct said public hearing in person, City Council only, in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom for all other public participation on the application from Bosun's Assets and Operations, LLC, DBA Bosun's Marine, 203 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass., for a special permit requesting to display new and pre-owned boat inventory and customer boats, and to allow boat sales and rental in the BR1 zone at 203 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass., as filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under City Calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Zoom information will not be available until the Friday before the meeting. Peabody City Council, Councilor Mark J. O'Neill, City Council President.
Thank you. I see Mr. Kelty and Mr. Chase. Could you please state your names and address for the record?
Thank you. Thank you, Council President O'Neill. My name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street here in Peabody, Massachusetts, and I appear this evening on behalf of Bosun's Assets and Operations, LLC. We are seeking a permit to allow for displaying new and pre-owned boat inventory and customer boats, and to allow boat sales and rental in the BR1 zoning district at 203 Linfield Street, 203 Newbury Street here in Peabody, Mass. 203 Newbury is the site of the former Sea Witch restaurant. In some years ago, my clients began to operate at 205 Newbury Street. They were given permits from the building department and from the Conservation Commission, who issued an order of conditions to allow for a repair bay to be added to that site. That site is permitted for repairs, storage, and sales and rentals of boats there at 205 Newbury. We now seek to spread to the unused portion of this area, 203 Newbury, which was the Sea Witch restaurant. The Sea Witch closed with an expectation of reopening. They then decided not to reopen, and my clients were eager to lease the site from Mr. Hesiotis, who is the owner of the Sea Witch restaurant. And we are pleased to be able to say that we would expand our operations with the exception of the repairs. No repairs. Actually, the indoors, although it is being leased at the Sea Witch restaurant, is not intended to be used as far as indoor storage or any kind of indoor operation. All our sales, repairs, etc., inventory control will take place in 205 Newbury, which is the previously permitted site. We are also interested. We have also supplied, we have also been able to see, the material submitted to the City Council from Community Development Department. Those are conditions that we are pleased to adhere to, and pleased for the city to be able to enforce, and that was specifically providing for delivery from our tractor trailers that would be delivering to the site. They would deliver to 205, and that would be the sole delivery point. And then we would maneuver the boats on site over to 203 Newbury. We would also agree to any condition saying that we can't utilize the curb. We can't utilize the curb area of Route 1, nor can we queue on Route 1 waiting to get into the premises. That's a condition that we certainly would adhere to ourselves. We have been asked by the Conservation Commission to file. Initially, there was a suggestion that we may be triggering a use of the property as a loopla. I have provided a memorandum to the, which I copied to the council, in which we've suggested that we nowhere near trigger the criteria for loopla. And the commission has also reiterated their request that we do file a plan with them that demonstrates that any activity is taking place outside the buffer zone, and we will file such a plan with the Conservation Commission. The commission will also be informed that there's no new paving, there's no work being proposed on the 203 site, none of which would impact the wetlands. However, it's certainly reasonable that the Conservation Commission be concerned with whatever activity is going to take place, and we will file with them a plan which, at the recommendation of Conservation Clerk, they've suggested we file what's called a request for determination of applicability, and that is the plan that we will file with the commission. We're happy to answer questions that the board may have. As I stated earlier, we have been on that site for a number of years, and as such, we're pleased to expand the use of the premises and expand the business. And the initial year that Bosun Marine arrived here in Peabody is 2004, and in 2014 they added the addition, which had the repair bay. Mr. Chase is the general manager. He's happy to answer any specific questions the board may have. Tim Leadham, who is the owner-operator of Bosun Marine, he is here with us as well, I believe. He was earlier. But in any event, I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have. I do realize that this matter, given the current protocol, will be recessed, and we can address any questions that the council may bring up this evening, and or any questions that come from an audience this evening at our next hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelty. Are there any members of the general public who would like to speak either in favor or in opposition to this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak in this matter. Are there any members of the general public who would like to speak either in favor or in opposition of this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak on this matter. Seeing no one, Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you, Council President. So, Bosun Marina has been up there for a number of years. As far as I can tell, nice operation. I went up there, I took a tour. Extremely, just an immaculate facility. In the interest of full disclosure, when they entered into agreement with the owners of the Seawich Restaurant land, they started to move the boats over, and then it was brought to their attention that they needed to get a special permit, that they couldn't do that. And I will give them credit. I'd say within 72 hours, they had every single boat off that property, moved back to 203, back to 205. So I'd like to acknowledge that and thank them for that. And I do believe it was an innocent mistake. I'll say that. But that being said, I like to tell you that this is an easy one, but from my perspective, it's not quite as easy. And it has to do with the zoning in the BR1. That being said, I'd like to make a motion to receive communication 8F under suspension of rules.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you. The challenge here is that in the BR1, it states that marine boat sales or rental is allowed by special permit. Right beneath that is another use, marine boat repair facility for repair service or storage. The key word being storage. That's not allowable at all. Not by special permit, no use for it, not at all. And I'm going to give you the analogy. Sometimes we struggle a little bit with the used car dealers. We've heard that we send the police out there and they try and identify. We started a few years ago to make them put a placard on the front saying exactly how many their used car license was for. And if it's a repair facility, at times, I believe retired Marty Cohen would go out there and he'd kind of get well, these are for sale, these are dealer plates, these are for repair, and we didn't make his job easy, quite frankly. And so the challenge we have here, and it's not really our challenge, I'm gonna put on a petitioner. So they wanna have a boat lot next door. Now they have a beautiful showroom. They're gonna go next door to the Seawich, and that's gonna be just for boat sales or rental. Well, in the winter, everything is shrink wrapped, everything's in white. I have no idea what's storage, what's sales, what's rental. Quite frankly, there really should be no storage. I know at times they will sell a boat, and then maybe in the season they'll take it back to winterize it, and they store it. And that leads to a whole nother issue of revenue streams and things of that nature, but I wish it was simple. I'm also gonna go, and I thank Council McGinn, because you're getting me off the hook a little bit here tonight early. Rule 17. So, for the record, I will not receive late communication 10 this evening. I will object to it if anyone brings it up. And the reason why is this, is that this came in, whenever we got it, the last 24, 48 hours. Well, since this came in, I have another response from the Conservation Commissioner, Lucia Del Negro, that I will forward to the city clerk so everyone to read, but, you know, lo and behold, they're looking for something to be done. And as I said, thank you, Councilor McGinn, they have to get with the Conservation Commission, the RDA, and in spite of what council says that it's his belief that they don't need it, or he thought that it wasn't necessary, I'm going to go with the Conservation Commissioner, who wants to know what's going on. We don't have a map. I have no idea how many boats are going to be there. If we go through the application, so actually you'll see, by the way, in the second page, Commissioner Del Negro, you'll see what she's asked for, so we don't have that. There was some, like I said, there was some communication between her and the petitioner's counsel, whether it was necessary or not. I'm going to come down on the fact that it needs to be done. And then as I go through the application, on page number 4, total number of street parking spaces, existing 40 plus. Then you go to the next page, page 5, total number of vehicles to be parked on the site, 8 to 12. And it says type of vehicles, cars, pickups, trucks, boat trailers. I have no idea without a map with what their expectation is, what they want to do. I have an idea, but, you know, I think we have to hold them to a little bit of a higher benchmark, and we have to understand what's going on over there. I did have a conversation, you know, I wish it was going to be the restaurant, but it's not. And if we can rent out commercial space, it's a good situation to be in. Expanding it and having, it's not the most attractive situation in the winter, and it does change as maybe the season goes on. I did reach out to the petitioner, Mr. Chase, and I asked him about, is there anything you can do as far as boat wraps, as far as maybe just bland white, maybe a color? You can actually wrap boats just like you can wrap a car. I did go online and I did see it, but you know, maybe you'd put the 3 boats out front and have a nice aquatic scene or something that was more picturesque. So that might be a little bit more detailed, I don't know, but I've asked them to look into other colors besides white. And then we get into the whole situation of new and used boats. You know, used boats, I think that's where the Conservation Commission comes in. Are they drained? Is there gas? Is there oil? What's going on there? And how they address that. And I will ask the petitioner two questions, if I could. I did see on the application, are you folks closed on Sundays?
Yes, this is Steve Chase, the GM at Boston Marine. Yes, we are closed on Sunday.
Thank you. And the other issue when it comes to rentals, my concern is Mr. Jones going in and trying to get the boat in. And what is your definition of rentals? I see it's on the application. I never really even thought about that until I was reading again tonight. Do you folks do rentals? Are they long-term seasonal rentals, weekly rentals, weekend rentals? Can you give us an idea?
We do not now and never have done any type of rentals and do not plan on doing any rentals. We are strictly a new boat dealership. So we have no rentals, no rental customers, and no intention of renting and never have.
Great, so we can probably amend that and take that out of the special permit for what it sounds like, and that's great. I think that takes a layer off the table here. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to my fellow councilors if they'd like to ask any questions of the petitioner here tonight. But as I said, I think as the previous special permit hearing, under Rule 17, I think it's imperative that we get the documents that the Conservation Commission has requested before we can even vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Sasslaw. Would any other councils like to speak or ask questions at this time? Seeing no one, Councilor Sasslaw.
So I brought up some of my concerns. I know the petitioner and council has listened. I hope that you folks can come back and maybe have some suggestions about the concerns about how do we differentiate what's storage, what's for sales. I mean, you have 2 lots side by side. It's very difficult to differentiate it. And so I'm going to be looking to you folks for some suggestions on looking at our zoning, how we can differentiate and make sure that we as a city, we as a council, we can understand, and if the authorities need to go out there, that they can understand what they're looking at. At this point, I'll make a motion to recess the public hearing till April 22nd.
Councilman Saslow? This is Steve Chase again.
Go ahead. We have a motion, but go ahead, Mr. Chase.
I just wanted to state that our current business, any boat that is on the 205, 207 property is always tagged if it is a customer's boat that is there to be delivered. Anything that is new and in the yard will not be tagged. So at any time, someone can come in and see if a boat is there, is a customer's boat or is new product.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Councilor Sasslaw, we still have a motion on the floor. Do you?
I just have to, you said 207, but we're looking at 203 and you own 205. Is 207 another lot that you have next door? I'm sorry.
205 and 207 are adjacent, yes.
Okay, that's fine. I'm good, thank you.
We have a motion for Councilor Sasslaw to recess this hearing until Thursday, April 22nd. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you.
Now move to hearing 4F, which is a application from Florian Quoqui, 1 Newbury Street, to install an electronic message sign. Clerk will please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, April 8th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. and conduct said public hearing in person, City Council only, in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom for all other public participation on the application from Florian Koki, 29 Walsh Avenue, Peabody, Mass., for a special permit requesting to install an electronic message sign to an existing freestanding sign at 1 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass., as filed in accordance with sections 11.5.2, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under City Calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Zoom information will not be available until the Friday before the meeting. Peabody City Council, Councilor Mark J. O'Neill, City Council President.
Thank you. The applicant is Mr. Hutchins. Could you please state your name and address for the record and provide a brief explanation of your plans on this request?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Dan Hutchins of New Hampshire Signs from Auburn, New Hampshire. Here to represent our place request to add a message center to an existing ground sign and to answer any questions you may have. Also, in the event that there are any technical questions regarding the specifications or the operation of the display, I have asked our Daktronics rep, Bob Messier, to join in the meeting tonight as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchins. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak either in favor or in opposition of this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak in this matter. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak either in favor or in opposition of this application? Please raise your hand in the Zoom application if you'd like to speak in this matter. Seeing no one, Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you, Council President. I did have the opportunity to speak to Mr. Florian, who is going to be the proprietor. This is going to be an independent restaurant that's going into the Holiday Inn. They have run a number of other restaurants. I don't know all the names, but the one I do know is Nick and Annie's up in Danvers, by the which is next to the old Calitris. I've been up there, and they run a nice operation. They, I believe, have another place in Amesbury. As he said to me, you know, we're in the restaurant business. We have no life. But we talked about the sign. I think they really provided excellent renderings. I did confirm with the Holiday Inn. The Holiday Inn owns the sign. They have given permission to them to make this addition to the sign. I did explain to the petitioner, and I will ask his counsel. You do understand, the petitioner understands that this can only be used for advertising strictly for the restaurant, for no other means. Do you understand that?
Yes, no off-premise advertising.
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing. You said no other.
I said there will be only advertising for the restaurant alone.
Great. I have no further questions. I will open up to my fellow councilors.
Would any other councilors like to speak on this matter? Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Sasslaw, regarding the last comment you made with only advertising for the restaurant, I think we had done a similar project with Capone's, and we'd asked for them to allow the city to utilize, in the event of an emergency, display through the signage. So I'd like to offer that suggestion as well.
Councilor Sasslaw, do you want to answer that or ask the applicant if they consider that?
Attorney Hutchins, did you understand what Council Welton was asking is that in case of emergency, could we access the use of the billboard for, it escapes me, but sometimes we're having a missing child or something like that, an Amber Alert. Would that be allowable in the case of emergency to use the billboard? For
Absolutely, and I'm sure the Floor Inn would be more than happy to do so for Amber Alerts or any other type of emergency notifications.
Thank you, and thank you for the suggestion, Council Welton.
Any other councilors? Seeing no one, Councilor Sasslaw.
I'd like to make a motion to recess the public hearing until April 22nd, 2021. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. We'll see you Thursday, April 22nd.
Thank you.
We'll now move to reports of committees. The first committee hearing we had tonight was Legal Affairs Committee. Chairman Melville.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We did have a Legal Affairs Subcommittee meeting tonight. The subject was the RFP that was received regarding 2 Washington Street and, hold on one moment, I'm sorry. All right, sorry about that. The internet kind of died on me for a second there. All right, we had a discussion regarding a request for proposals for 2, 12, and 16 Washington Street. Present were all members of the committee and all city councilors, along with the mayor. The city solicitor, Don Kahn. Dan Doucette was on the line. And along with the RFP respondents, we did receive 4 communications. So I'd make a motion to receive late communication 1 and 2, along with letters of support from the Oleo rental space on Main Street and the Peabody Historical Society. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Chairman Melville.
Thank you. At the meeting, the mayor gave a description and background of the property, followed up by a brief discussion from the respondents, and then a number of questions from the council, declaring their support, questions that also revolved around the price of the property and the actual RFP process. We then moved on to a discussion regarding the motion to authorize the approval and signature of the purchase and sale agreement. That motion, after the discussion that we had discussed, continuing this discussion at the next Legal Affairs Subcommittee meeting that will be on April 20th. A motion was made and approved by the committee. The motion was to distribute for review the motion submitted by Councilor McGinn to both the RSP respondent, the mayor, the city solicitor, and all counselors to ensure the language in said motion matches the language in the RFP. So moved.
Thank you, Chairman Melville. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Chairman Melville.
Thank you. And I will make sure everybody has access to the documentation ahead of the meeting that we will have on April 20th. And Allison will talk about the time and the rest of it. So that is the report of the Legal Affairs Subcommittee meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Melville. We'll now move to the Finance Committee. Chairman McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met earlier this evening. Present for the committee with Councilors Gould, Manning, Martin, Rosignol, Turco, and myself as chair. All other city councilors were present. There were 3 items on the agenda. The first item was transfer of funds for recreation open space plan in an amount of $60,000. Mr. Gingras explained that this was a CPC request. Subsequently, a motion was made by Councilor Gould as follows. Move to approve the transfer of funds from account number 270-0000-33021 CPC open space in an amount of $60,000 to account number 270-1811-58562-2021-000390 CPC recreation open space plan in an amount of $60,000. That motion passed unanimously, and I now bring that to the City Council for consideration. So moved.
You've heard the motion by Councilor McGinn. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton. Yes. Charis.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas. Turco.
Yes.
Rosignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second item on the agenda dealt with a transfer of funds request for the cable fund expense. Mr. Gingras explained that this was money from RCN and that it was committed in an amount of 90% of those receipts to the cable fund expense. Further to that, Councilor Gould made the following motion: move to approve the transfer of funds from receipts reserved cable fund account number 270-0000-33017 in an amount of $27,658.01 to cable fund expense account number 270-0000-53007 in an amount of $27,658.01. That motion passed the Finance Committee unanimously, and I now bring that to the full council for consideration, Mr. President. So moved.
You've heard the motion from Councilor McGinn. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charis.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rosignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor McGinn.
The third item on the agenda, Mr. President, was a transfer of funds request for road improvement projects in an amount of $1,242,480. Director of Finance, Mr. Gingras, explained that this is our annual Chapter 90 receipt from the state. With that explanation, the following motion was made by Councilor Gould. Move to approve transfer of funds, Chapter 90 projects FY 2021, account number 250-34751, an amount of $1,242,480 to road improvement projects, account number 250420, excuse me, strike that, 250-4210-58134, in an amount of $1,242,480. That motion passed the committee unanimously. Mr. President, I now bring that to the full council for consideration. So moved.
You've heard the motion from Councilor McGinn. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton. Charis. McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. That completes the report of Committee for Finance this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman McGinn. We'll now move to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to approve item 9A, a banner congratulating the class of 2021 Peabody High School, contingent on all papers being in order. So moved.
You've heard the motion from Councilor Gould. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just so everyone will know, we have Pride in Peabody Cleanup Day, which is a week from this Saturday, the 17th of April. Between 9:30 and 11:30, we're going to try to hit the streets in certain sections of the city. We're meeting right here out front at City Hall. I'd love to have anybody of the public that would like to join us. And that is all my motions, orders, and resolutions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. We'll now move to Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7A and refer to legal affairs. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7C and refer to finance. So moved.
Sorry, on the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8H, and I can make a motion to receive and approve, and that would handle item 10A, but I will defer to you.
That's on the motions. We'll handle that at the last, after everyone's done motions. It's the unfinished business. I think that'd be better for discussions, but any other further motions, orders, and resolutions?
Then no, I will make a motion to receive item 8H and refer it to item 10A, unfinished business. So moved.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Further motions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin. Councilor Sasslaw.
Yes, under suspension of rules, motion to receive item 8B and set up an executive session.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
I have one motion this evening. I'd like to make a motion for the Department of Public Services to fix the dip in the street section in front of 12 Forenza Road due to past work that was not completed properly. So move.
You've heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw. Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw. Councilor Welton.
No motions this evening, Mr. President. Just want to say welcome back to Councilor Gould, and it's nice to have a full cast of characters for our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor Sherritt.
No motions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sherritt. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7B. So moved.
You've heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7D and refer it to legal affairs. So moved.
You've heard the motion by Councilor McGinn. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8D. So moved.
You've heard the motion from Councilor McGinn. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. No further motions.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilor Mitsoulas.
I have no motions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mitsoulas. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8A.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you. Just regarding item 8A, I was shocked to see that over a decade we created 232 units, so I actually think that's good news, considering we're currently past the 10% threshold with some potential new units coming on board. So 10% of the 232 units is 23 unit difference from the number that presented to us from community development. So I think that's great news and good for the city. Thank you on that. Mr. President, under suspension of the rules, move to receive late communication number 6.
You've heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. With regard to late communication number 6, I wanted to give the council adequate time to peruse that, as Councilor Manning did. So I'm going to ask that that be placed for discussion as unfinished business, similar to Councilor Manning's motion from last week. And, briefly, I'll say that Amazon has been expanding rapidly throughout cities and towns, and I think it's a lot more discussion needs to take place with the community and involved parties prior to a decision like that. And I'm well aware that Amazon has sought out spots at Centennial Park in the past and continues to do that up until today. So I hope the council will consider this. There's nothing binding in here for anybody. And just for your knowledge, this almost exact same resolution is passed in Boston, Cambridge, Revere, Somerville, Medford, Chelsea, Winthrop, Lawrence and Lowell are due to hear it this week, and Lynn in several weeks. So I'll make that a motion that this goes to unfinished business for item 10 for next council meeting. Thank you.
You've heard the motion. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
No further motions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, I would just like to make a motion to, with a co-motion actually with Councilor Sasslaw, move to request that the Public Service Department start a database or spreadsheet that would identify the location of all the storm drains throughout the city with the date that they were last cleaned. This is a request I also made a year ago. And the reason why I made it a co-motion last year was because it was a motion that Councilor Sasslaw made the year before. So I would like this established. I don't expect it to be vetted entirely, but at least if we could get an understanding of what storm drains they've already cleaned and start the database from there, at least it's a step in the right direction, instead of either Councilor Sasslaw or I making this motion annually. So moved.
Councilor Rossignol, I know it's a co-motion between you and Councilor Sasslaw. Would you want to try to have a public services subcommittee just to kind of bring that up and have a discussion?
I would love that fact. I'll move this to subcommittee. At least I know it's going to be moved in a positive direction. Great recommendation. Amend my motion.
On the motion, any discussion? On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. No further motions.
Thank you, Councilor Rossignol. Councilor Melville.
Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8C. And yeah, I think this is something we want to request forward to the mayor's office and get and PBD Municipal Light Plant for an opinion. So moved.
You've heard the motion, Councilor Melville. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? Oh, sorry, I don't have my glasses.
On the motion, and it doesn't need to necessarily be part of the motion, but, you know, I think this is going to be a significant upgrade to the PMLP infrastructure, so the value of that asset is going to be significantly increased. I think it's a great idea to refer to the mayor and refer to PMLP, but I'd like the mayor to kind of factor in what this might mean for the payment in lieu of taxes that PMLP is engaged with in the city. It's been fairly flat for a lengthy period of time, and this is going to be a sizable increase to the assets. So that's something that I think warrants consideration given this significant development. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Great point. You've heard the motion. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Melville.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. No further motions this evening. I just wanted to give a shout out to the folks at the golf course just over the past year. They did a great job reopening. Very busy. You know, it's just one of those things. They deserve a lot of credit for what they do down there. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. I have no motions, orders, and resolutions at this time, so we'll now move to item 10, which is unfinished business from the preceding meeting regarding a motion from Councilor Manning Martin. Councilor Manning Martin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Without much fanfare, I received item 8H for your review, and if you approve it, we'll just send it in to support, send it into the legislature to support an act in support of HB 1066, an act requiring the fingerprinting of TNC drivers. So moved.
On the motion, Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Manning Martin. I'm not entirely sure if this might be correct, but it looks like the current legislation is HD 1900 under the current bill filing. So I just wanted to clarify.
I saw that as well, so I contacted our esteemed Representative Tom Walsh, and he clarified for me the same question. It is HB 1066.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Any other councils that want to ask questions at this time? Oh, Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Manning Martin, I have to give you credit. I've served with you for 10 years, and you're constantly finding that niche issue that needs attention, and keep doing it. So thank you.
Thank you, Council.
On the motion, any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Councilor Welton.
Just more of a curiosity through you to Councilor Manning Martin. I did notice when I just pulled this up that it was first filed, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. In speaking with Representative Walsh, did he have any indication as to why this has been held up as long as it has?
That I did not ask him. It's not in his committee. But I know that they had raised the issue and they made some changes where they implemented a background check, but they did not go as far as to implement the fingerprinting. So it's been refiled to institute the fingerprinting as well, and it is in committee. So this would ask for them to put it towards public hearing out of committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. He's now adjourned.